Thank you for joining me on the Who God Says podcast. I am your host and Kingdom Ambassador, Ty-Shaun-Dra. Hi, hi, hi. We have a special guest today. Oh my God, he has so many accolades. He's a digital entrepreneur, the president of ShopX, co-founder of Dataing. It's an AI matchmaking app. Uh, Mr. Eric McHugh, welcome.
Hi, Ty-Shaun. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really grateful and I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Woo, I'm excited because we did a pre-call and you told me a lot of things that I did not know, that I think is very important for people, especially in the digital age that we're in now and the way things are moving. But I do want to ask you a little bit about your backstory. Like, who is Mr. Eric McHugh? Who are you before you became this successful digital entrepreneur?
Sure. Well, it's nice to meet everyone. My name is Eric. I'm 30 years old. I'm blessed to be living in beautiful Southern California. My main hobbies are chess, Muay Thai, reading, anything under the sun, and meditation. I just got back from a 10-day Vipassana meditation retreat in Joshua Tree, California. Honestly, it was a beautiful, transformative experience, completely free. So if that interests you, highly recommend you check it out. I think the more people who attend retreats like that, the more positive everyone becomes,
Yeah.
which is a net benefit. I went to school at the University of California, Irvine. During that time, I interned in Barcelona and DC, which I found funny because of how opposite those two cultures are. Like in Barcelona, you show up at 10 a.m. to the office in sandals, you'd be the first one there. Whereas in Washington, D.C., you'd show up at like 8:30, full suit and tie with that East Coast humidity, and you'd be the last one there. My first job out of college was at Snap Inc., and that was helping craft their ad algorithm. The reason I chose that position was because, first off, the location was super cool. They were on Venice Beach, and they didn't have
Mm.
one large building. They bought a bunch of different houses and warehouses and locations up along the beach. So you'd walk around to different houses and work with different work pods in different environments, which I like to mix it up. So I thought that was kind of fun. And the second reason was it was right before their IPO. So I wanted to be around a company just around that energy to see what it was like.
Yeah.
After that, I'm like, maybe I should get a full 9 to 5 job. So I ended up as a bankruptcy consultant. What that is it essentially helps companies undergo the Fortune 500 bankruptcy process and just tells them what to do, helps move around money and all that cool stuff, which is what kickstarted my career as an entrepreneur. Because
Okay.
at that point in time, I was researching Bitcoin heavily, Web3 heavily, and I was getting obsessed with that, which didn't align with the ethos of the consulting firm. So in bankruptcy, like when a company goes through a bankruptcy, there are tiers of creditors, so like tier one, tier two, tier three, tier four. Tier one gets paid out first, tier two gets paid out second, tier three gets paid out third, and tier four gets paid out last. So essentially just gets the scraps. So as a consulting firm, we're billing on a client who's going through the bankruptcy process. So we're taking money from a pool of people, which I think should have went to like the normal mom and pops of the world, which doesn't match with the Bitcoin create value to generate wealth, non-rent seeking ethos. So I quit that job without a real plan. I knew I wanted to work in cryptocurrency. I started going to meetups in the local area, met the original ShopX team. We started, during that time, that was like around 2016, 2017. We spun off another platform called CartRev or Pollinate at different names. That was a SaaS platform that replaced affiliate codes for e-commerce brands. That got VC funded. So essentially, any brand could upload any product to a database and anyone could sell that product from within social media. So just think of TikTok shops, but for
Mm.
Instagram and before that. So I like this Nike shoe, this Adidas hat, this Reebok shirt. I could add all three to a link. You could then purchase all three within 4 clicks. You get a commission. I get a discount. A brand gets a sale, and everyone's happy. That was an important experience because I was in a startup incubator, so I was surrounded by like tons of founders, tons of talent. So I was able to interview and talk with a lot of people, absorb so much knowledge, which is still paying dividends today. And I also learned how to deal with plenty of e-commerce brands, which ties back to ShopX. So what ShopX is, it's the Web3 of e-commerce. We're a app within the Shopify and WooCommerce store for an e-commerce brand to download our app and then enter the Web3 space in a simple way. We have 2 products live right now. The first is ReserveX. That's NFT powered loyalty program. So if you're a brand, you have no crypto experience, no technical experience, you can just download our app. Within the ShopX app, you can launch your first NFT collection within 10 minutes. And then once your NFT collection is launched, you can add products to that NFT for your customers. So if Nike were to launch a gold, silver, bronze style pass collection, they could say, "Hey, gold holders, you get this product for free. Hey, silver holders, you get this product for 50% off. Hey, bronze holders, you get this product before everyone else." So you as a brand could add e-commerce value to your customer's experience. Our second product is SquadX. That's the first ever blockchain ambassador program. So we share so just like Twitter, and again, this is before Twitter did this, but just like Twitter pays its creators from their ad revenue, we pay our community for helping our ecosystem grow from the ReserveX revenue. So if let's say Nike sells one ReserveX pass for $100, they get $95. We get $5, so 5%, and half of that we share with our community for helping our ecosystem grow. This creates a nice positivity upward spiral. So as ShopX gets more and more brands, community gets paid more and more Ethereum, they're more happy, and then this generates more and more brands because they're telling brands to use ShopX, and then this creates more and more Ethereum. So it's a win for everyone involved.
Yeah.
So ShopX is going really well. The second company I'm working on is Dataing. That's the first ever AI-powered matchmaking service. So what we do is we auto-generate profiles for you based on your digital footprint and create matches based on other users' digital footprint. So this is important because it's always so I think right now the dating market and most people involved in the dating market can say could be better. And that's
Could be better.
yeah, that's a nice way to put it. But I think a lot of the problems from the dating market stem from the way people meet today. So most people meet on apps and in bars and clubs. So like the problem with apps is, first off, the top 5% of the app users, they get access to 95% of the people on the app, creating a skewed marketplace. And this is because the app wants people coming back. So if you look at people's swipes, it's all going to the same people. So a lot of people are just left out and seen as invisible. The second reason apps don't work is, first off, like apps are, let's be real, they're physical based. It's like, are they attractive? Because you can't really put your personality into like a bio if anyone even reads that. So it's like, are you attractive? Yes or no? Swipe right, swipe left. But then you completely ignore the personality, which I think honestly it's more important than looks, in my opinion. And the third and most interesting issue is the incentive structure of the app. So most dating apps, if you didn't know, are owned by Match.com. So that creates a monopoly type of thing. So that's why they're unlike. That's why they all look alike. That's why they all do the same thing. So that once a dating app reaches around 1 million users, then Match will try and buy them. So most of the ecosystem is owned by Match.com, and if you're in a monopoly, you're unlikely to change. So if you think about it logically, if Tinder were to match a happy couple, what happens? That happy couple then leaves the app. What happens to Tinder and what happens to the Match.com shareholders? They both lose a paying customer, which is not good for their bottom line. So this creates something called churn marketing, which is essentially keeping people on the Ferris wheel. So if you've ever heard of someone, I downloaded the app, I deleted the app, I downloaded the app, I deleted the app, that's all baked into their incentive structure, which obviously is not good for anyone involved. So Dataing is we try to fix that by, first off, we auto-generate profiles for you and users based on your digital footprint, and we match people based on their digital footprint, hopefully putting users in the position for a successful match because the stuff in the back end is there. So for example, I could get 3 matches: Ashley, Kimberly, Jane. I'm like, okay, Jane, tell me more about Jane. She seems interesting. Oh, based on her Facebook, she's the youngest and you're the oldest. That goes well. Oh, based on her LinkedIn, you both went to a Ford University and said the same thing. That's great. Based on her Instagram, you both tag a bunch of national parks. You have that in common. Oh, you both follow these people on YouTube. Oh, you both follow this one obscure artist on Spotify. Did you know that this artist has a concert coming up in a month? Would you like me to suggest a date with Jane? Cupid AI then suggests a date with Jane. Let's say we go on that date, it goes well, we get married and all that stuff. And then Cupid can act as a relationship butler for us. So it'd be like, you guys haven't went on a date in 3 months. It's time to go. We
Oh my
recommend we
God.
rec- we recommend this babysitting service for your kids. The place you had the second date, it's having a half off sale on ice cream. That'd be a good thing to go. Or it could help in other ways. Like, for example, let's say Jane's birthday's coming up hypothetically. And obviously dudes are notoriously bad at stuff like this. So I think this adds a great benefit. It's like, oh, her birthday's coming up. You may not want to mess this up. Oh, she just started listening to this artist on Spotify. Oh, she just added this thing to her Pinterest board. This might make a good gift. And then it can play a support role in that factor. So yeah,
Oh
it
my
helps with a
God.
lot of things, and long term too. I think it can also function as a community building app. Like, dating is an easy market to penetrate, just because I think we both agree that the market kind of sucks and dating
Yes.
apps suck. But long term, it can be a community building app, which is equally important. So you'd be like, okay, find me 5 people who believe in Jesus, who are into Muay Thai, who would like to try this taco place. They could be guys or girls, and then I could find my like minded tribe that way.
That is amazing. Oh my God. Oh, wow. So the app not only helps you when you're in your single stage to find potential mates, but it kind of, I would say, grow with you. It grows with you. It suggesting date
Correct.
night and birthdays is coming up and all. That is awesome.
Yeah, it's baked into our incentive structure too, because it's going to be a free app. So
Mhm,
Tinder, I was telling you that their goal is to keep you as a paying customer.
mhm.
Our goal is to get you off the app, because we're building a scheduling system too, where you can schedule the date, you'll be able to pay through the date, you'll be able to do
Oh,
everything within the app. And that's when, because obviously dating as a company, we want to, like, I view, if you, I think my view on money is it's neutral, so you can make money in a good way, and you can make money in a bad way. If you produce value for people, then you should be able to make money. So our way to create revenue for ourselves is if someone plans a date,
mhm.
then through our app and pay through our app because it's so convenient, then we would take a small percentage and then we'll share that percentage with our ambassadors following the ShopX model. So our incentive as an app is to get you on the date as soon as possible and make it as successful as possible. Because let's say you batch, you start dating, that's a lot of dates for us. That's a lot of dates for you.
Yeah.
It's a win for everyone.
Yeah. That's a great way of looking at it instead of, like you said, what do you call it? The churn, what was it called?
It, churn marketing. So
The
just think of
churn
someone
mark.
like on a fair, so they just keep coming back.
Yeah. That the way you guys are looking at it, it's a better way, a better perspective because with the churn marketing, I have downloaded and deleted so many apps so
Oh yeah,
many
God.
times.
It's a
Like
nightmare, huh?
it is. It really it
It's not.
really
Hi everyone! Join the Kingdom Fanatics community. Get exclusive content, green room access with our guests, and more. Visit our website at whogodsays.com. Like and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We greatly appreciate your love and support. To find all information on joining our community, being a guest on the show, donating on our PayPal donation page, and more, visit us at whogodsays.com. Now back to the show.
is.
It's not good for everyone's self-esteem either.
I
Like,
mean,
it's
it's like,
just,
where are the people? Are these people real? Or where are the real
oh,
people in a
oh, so
way?
that's a little known issue too. It's more so from the guy side versus the female side. But as a man on a dating app, most of the people you will be interacting with are bots to drive engagement, to drive numbers for those shareholders. Whereas
Mm,
dating, we help combat that, because the more, like, it's easy to create a fake date. Like, think about how easy it is to create a fake Tinder profile with AI. You just create
right.
a Tinder profile, buy, you're good to go. But with dating, the more social media sources you get, the more karma points you get, the more authentic you become. It's more of like, it's like a barrier, because like it's easier to create a Tinder vibe. What's easier, creating a Tinder fake profile or creating a dating fake profile where you need like 3 sources, or like you have to create a fake Instagram, a fake LinkedIn, a fake
Mhm.
whatever, and then on the app. So part of the profile section will give you like a description, so you can see what you're saying about yourself on social media. So we have an insights feature. It's like, based on your digital footprint, this is what our AI picked up on you, which is cool if you're just trying to learn more about yourself. But
Right.
as a user, when you make matches, you'll be able to see like recent posts and stuff from your match as a way to like screen. It's like, okay, let's see their LinkedIn feed, let's see their Instagram feed. Of course, if the user agrees to that, so it's on the user side. But like, it's a good way to screen too. And then,
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I could ask Cupid as like, oh, maybe what do you think Jane would like as a first date? Because she has Jane's digital footprint. She's like, maybe you want to try this. I don't know.
I think that is
Or,
cool. And it does
or
cut back off on that. So what do you like to do for fun? And
yeah,
those questions
so,
that people feel are so mundane.
yeah. So we try to get people on the date as soon as possible. So the way we structured our system is Cupid will handle pretty much everything up until you feel comfortable for a date, and we will obviously have an option where it's like, would you like to have would you like to have a video call for Jane? Because
Mhm.
comfort is a big thing. Or
Yes.
we're building out a VR portion. So like, would you like to have a VR date with Jane? And then from there, it's to meet the person. And since we've linked with the social media, because I think it's not so much for a man. Like from a man's perspective, you're generally safe going on a date. Come on, don't be. But like going on a date for a woman, it's much of a risk in my opinion. So
Yeah.
if we link the social media accounts or some social proof in the sense like, okay, well this person, we have like 20 Facebook mutual friends. Maybe I can ask one of them about them. Or we have like we follow the same people.
Yeah.
Okay, they're a real person. Let me dig into this a little before versus just like a random basis, easily catfishable person on like a normal dating app.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely would help put, and I can speak for myself, it definitely would help put me at ease because you always wonder until you actually meet the person, is this a real person? That's my
Yeah.
main thing. Is this a real person? Like, I want to talk to you. I'm old school. I like talking on the phone.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
okay with texting, but I can't do the messages back and forth too long because
No.
you don't really understand what the person's tone is. Like, they don't understand what my tone is. You can LOL and everything until your thumbs fall off, but to have that dialogue back and forth for me, that's a little bit more comforting than constantly sending messages and texting. And then we can move up to video calls
Yeah.
and then meeting each other. But yeah, that's definitely a comfort thing for me. Yeah, definitely.
And I'm from the male perspective too, because I like to look at two things in two different ways. Like one of the biggest issue with dating apps for men is first off the bot system. So a lot of people are just wasting their time just talking to a bot, and that's not good for everyone. And from the man perspective, sometimes women on that can keep them in the endless text loop for attention, like with no intention of actually meeting up with the person. So, which I don't get, but because, yeah, like, but because we're trying to get the date, like our goal is to get the date,
Mhm.
we're moving that process along too. Because, like, think about it this way: like, if a man is wasting time talking with a girl who has no intention of actually going on a date with, that's an opportunity cost for speaking with a woman who he could actually marry and start a family or just be happy with. So just cutting that out helps. I think it helps all parties involved.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Oh my God, how did you come up with the idea of that? What was it? Is it just all of the pain points you dealt with on dating apps, or was it like a group effort? What happened?
So I come at a different perspective because I honestly I do pretty well in the dating apps because I have good profiles, so like I get funneled the matches. So for me, it's like can kind of pick and choose. But that being said, I don't like dating apps. I just haven't had luck on them. I just like to do the old fashioned cold approach and say hello. That just has I've just had such a better time. Like if I compare the dates I went on through that versus the dates I went on when I was on dating apps, all the dates I've had that were good pretty much come from the cold approach of like, well, this app is kind of a waste of time. So it relates back to ShopX. So I was on a ShopX podcast tour, like a crypto one a while back to drive attention. I went on one podcast called The Crypto Economy. It's run by this dude named Mark. After we went on the podcast, we stayed in touch via Instagram and social, kind of like send each other reels. And he ended up being the CEO. He's the CEO, currently the CEO of Dating. So after that, this random Twitter account from like this AI thing started following me. I'm like, what is this? And he's like, oh, it's Mark. I have this idea. I think it's kind of fun. And so we hopped on a call, and I thought it was kind of fun. It helped. And then we've just been building it since. And the reason it's new is because we needed like Chat GBT's like open AI system to actually start that idea. So it's something that's been in the back of our minds for a while, but you just couldn't execute on it without like the infrastructure we have now.
Okay. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I've heard all kind of things about ChatGPT, um, and I haven't used it yet. Well, I attempted. I attempted to use it. I will say that I attempted, but um, a friend of mine is in the tax industry, and she has a few businesses, and she used it to set up different programs, mentoring programs and everything. And I was like, oh, wow, it looks beautiful. I'm like, okay, something that can think for me. That's difficult
It,
for me.
it's not so much think for you. So just think of AI
Mhm,
as a tool to leverage. So it'll help me get what's on my mind and polish it. So for example, if I wanted to write a bunch of emails, I would have to give it the idea for the copy. It has to have my thoughts and like write emails about this, use this tone, highlight these bullet points, and then it'll write the email. So even that's somewhat effective,
mhm.
but it won't be able to say, hey, write this email for you. So I think it still needs the human touch. Like for example,
Okay.
if I'm right, let's say I have an idea for a company. It's like, okay, what do I need to do? I need to create a logo. ChatGPT, create 20 logos. Okay, focus on this one, make it purple, make it happy, do all that stuff. Okay, I need a website. I still have to have the website idea, but it can write the code for me and edit for that. Oh, I need copy, just write me copy, and then I can edit as a human for that. So it helps me get what's in here, but
Mm,
it helps me manifest the thoughts in my mind into physical form much quicker. So it's going to leverage off my natural talents versus thinking off you. Because whenever someone sends you something that's completely GBT rated or like AI generated, everyone knows. So it's a tool for humans, and I think everything still needs that human touch.
right. Okay.
But it is convenient if you can work in your work system. It should save you a lot of time.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to try it again. I don't know. Maybe if I sit down and really focus about something, because I always have ideas all the time, and I'm always like brainstorming and writing things out and trying to get, like you said, the things that are in my head out of my head. So I'm maybe I just have to actually sit down one day and
Yeah,
give it.
just whatever you're naturally trying to do, see if ChatGPT can help. If you're trying to brainstorm it, I brainstorm stuff with myself through ChatGPT, so that's a fun exercise. If you just try talking about it, it can help or it doesn't. Who knows? It's up to you.
Yeah. I'm just gonna ease myself into embracing AI because I'm like, okay, yeah, it's supposed to help us. But I have that little standoffish approach about it. Feel like the aliens are taking over the world. Like my dad used to
uh,
say.
I think this is like a little woo, but I think the aliens are already here. Aliens are spirits, more so spiritual entities. We just can't see them or interact with them yet. But that's a whole other thing.
It is. I wanted to ask
Yeah.
you about spirituality. I know you what is quantum spirituality and why is that an important belief for you?
So it's pretty much the base of everything I do, and the meditation retreat was a eye opening experience for me. So what the meditation retreat is, it's 10 full days of full meditation. It's the method that the Buddha uses to reach enlightenment. So you focus the area around your nostril for 3 days. You start to pick up different sensations,
Mm,
and then from there you scan your body back and forth, and this extracts the traumas and whatever you've stored in your body throughout your whole lifetime or lifetimes if you want to look at it this way. So think of a metal detect, like if you're a NASA scientist, you had to send a piece of metal into space, you would extract the impurities by running it through magnets, and then those magnets would extract the impurities. And you have a piece of pure metal after. So you're
mhm,
just doing this on a spiritual level. So quantum physics states that essentially everything that could ever happen is happening in this one present moment. So like there's a reality where I'm super successful, there's a reality where I'm not successful, there's a reality where I'm blonde hair, there's a reality where I'm black hair, there's a reality of whatever.
mhm,
They're all happening in the same moment. And whichever reality you pay attention to is what reality is manifesting in real life. So I'm focusing my attention because wherever your attention goes, your energy flows. So I'm focusing on the reality where everything works for me, everything's positive, I have a bunch of friends, all businesses are going well, and that's the reality that's happening. So basically, quantum spirituality is combining the sciences of that with spiritual practices. So it's funny if you go through like the ancient like spiritual people like Hermes Trismegistus, like all those people,
mhm,
all the principles they wrote about thousands of years ago are getting proved today by science. So just like people are starting, like Isaac Newton said, if you want to understand the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, vibration. That's just getting proved by science now. They knew about it way back when. So again, if I think of the if I think of things in terms of energy, frequency, vibration, it's super helpful because I can select my vibration, I can select my reality, I can select the best one for me. So, for example, if you're saying you're sad, you're angry, you're joyous, you're loving, you're whatever, what you're really saying is I'm vibrating at a different frequency. If I'm vibrating at a sad frequency, it's lower, so it's lower on the scale. Versus like loving, joyous, those are higher. So sad is below 200. The higher states are in the 500s. And just like a radio station, if you tune into a specific frequency of a radio station, that's the radio station you get. So if you're emitting a sad frequency, you'll get sad. You'll attract sad people, sad things in your life. If you're emitting an angry one, same thing with angry. But if you emit a joyous, happy, loving one, then your experiences, the people you attract, will be of that frequency, which is obviously good for you too, because you're pragmatic. It's like I would rather be around happy, positive people versus negative, sad people. So that's where that comes in. And if you want to go into it a little bit farther, so if it's a scale from 1 through 1,000. So if you're below 200, that's when you're taking energy from someone. So if you ever talk to a negative person, you feel drained after, that's the reason for that. So like shame is the lowest frequency you can feel. So shame is the worst thing for you. If you're like in anger, fear, pride, hate, those are between like 100 and 200. And those are when a person is most controllable. So if you think of social media, that's why those levels are always pushed, because if they'll say there's a power at the top, they want to control people. If they keep people in a state of fear, then they can easily push their agenda, just like a COVID, or just like a why do you think war is promoted? Why do you think all this hate is promoted? It's for that reason. When you enter the stages of like love, joy, peace, those will be around 500. I would say, I think like Mother Teresa, Gandhi, those people, the Bible, because everything has a certain frequency. Like the Bible has one. Those are around like in the 700s. And the 3 people we know of to reach 1,000. So the 3 people who reached 1,000 were Jesus, Krishna, and the Buddha. So they were able to reach, and that's why they were able to perform such great. It depends what you believe, but that's why they're able to impact so many people, even to this day, in such a positive way, because they figured it out early, whether it be on purpose or not.
So it's like a scale that rates your emotions, but your emotions are vibrations.
Correct. It's a scale from a 1 to 1,000. I forget the name of the person who wrote it, but yeah, no, it's a scale, so you can tell where you're at by the emotions you're feeling. You just like look at emotional vibrational scale, and then you can kind of rate yourself where you're at.
Okay. And then it's kind of like a, I guess, scientific way of charting the law of attraction, so to say, right?
Pretty much. So it's a scientific way of charting. I like the law of assumption better than the law of attraction.
Okay.
So the law of assumption, the difference is law of attraction is like, I'd say the law of attraction is halfway through the law of assumption, where it doesn't kind of capitalize. It's like, yeah, you attract what you are, but you can also set strong intention, and then that creates the reality you want. So for example, if I were to set a strong intention on, let's say, okay, the strong intention is dating is going to match 1 billion happy couples. Because I'm paying attention to that reality, the reality I'm focused on kind of quantum collapses, and I focus on that reality, and that will manifest. So if I just keep going with that mindset, if enough people think that way, it'll eventually happen. How it happens in the middle, we'll figure it out.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. So, the law of assumption, you said that was?
Law of assumption, yes.
Law of assumption, and that's setting the strong intentions of
Yes.
what you want to happen to.
So just basically work backwards from where you want to be, and just be that person, and your reality will eventually collapse on that person. So if I wanted to be a fitness star or whatever, what would a fitness star do? And just be that person, and eventually it'll happen. If you keep that up for long enough, that's the key. The key is consistency.
Yeah. Okay. That it actually, for everyone that's listening who may not get why quantum spirituality is even mentioned on a podcast about God, it actually aligns up with our faith. So, especially with setting a strong intention, that's our faith. That's us writing the vision and making it plain. What do we want to do? What is it that we're expecting? What is it that we're praying for? You know, what are we believing for? And the same thing happens. If I wanted to say I wanted a successful tax service, which I've had. So before I had the tax service, I wanted the tax service. So setting that strong intention, hey, I prayed for this, I'm a believe for this, and I'm going to work towards this. Now, on our end, we believe that God is actually um, an influence and a driving force in that helps us along the way. But it aligns with your quantum spirituality as far as the law of assumption and your strong intentionality, because we do the same thing. We set strong intentionality, and it's based around our faith.
Oh, oh yeah, no, and prayer I think is super important because whether you want to refer to God as like the universe, the creator, whatever name, like who are we? Like I personally believe the universe, God, they always have my back. Whatever's happening is according to God's plan. So why would me as a person question God's plan? Like that makes no sense to me. So that's just so I'm just like so I just function as like, okay, God has my back. This is happening for a good reason, and because of that positive mindset, it attracts more positivity. And to go back to so the way I look at people, I think I'll use a sun analogy because it's easy to understand, but like if God, the creator, universe, consciousness, whatever you want to call it, the all knowing, the one who created us, the one who's just working everything. Why would someone that all knowing create people? Why would he create people? I think that he created us people to appreciate the beauty in his other creation. So it's like, why did he create people? He created us to enjoy his other creation. So I think it's disrespectful to God to not look at the sun and be like amazing. It's disrespectful to God to not be amazed by the ocean.
Right.
So I think that I owe it to God to just live my best life, help as many people as possible. And I look at it as if you think of God as the sun, obviously the sun is the source. The sun is everything. The sun is involved, like it's just everything. But me and you, we're individual rays from that sun. So we are from the same source. We are technically the same, but we are also our individual rays of sunlight. Just like this array of sunlight is the sun, but it's not exactly the sun.
Right.
So it's also the same as another ray of sunlight. So for me to hate on another person, it's the equivalent of hating on myself.
Right.
Which is the equivalent of hating on God, which is also stupid. So basically,
Right.
everybody love it. But yeah, it's like, why would you do that? And then you
Right.
just attract more hate and just whatever. It's like it's pointless. It doesn't even serve you too. It's like, why would you do something that's pointless and just has a negative effect on you, which has a negative effect on other people as well?
And everybody. Yep. It
Yeah.
makes no sense. So you do a lot of meditation, and I'm glad you brought up the meditation retreat that you went on, because a lot of people don't understand that even though we're entrepreneurs and we have a focus on business, we're focused on dating and family and everything, it's also important to reserve yourself, to rest, to meditate, to pray, to give yourself that um I say refresh. That's what I call
Yeah.
it. That refresh. How does that affect you personally and professionally when you're able to take that time to refresh?
Yeah, so I mean, even God rested on the seventh day. He's rested on the
That's right.
Sabbath. Or he rested. Like, if he can rest, or it's not. I don't think it's a man, but yeah, you get my point. Like, if God's
Right.
gonna rest, I can also rest. So
Right.
I view it as absolutely essential because again, I think people are best served. So I think people are happiest when they're serving other people, and I think God has blessed each and individual, every single person, with individual gifts specific to that person.
Yeah.
And so it's like me, I'm the best Eric. You can't beat me at me being me. But if I at that same point, I can't beat you at being you. So how
Right.
do I best serve other people? It's for me just to be authentic and use my own gifts to serve the collective, which is making me the most happy I can be. So in
Yeah.
terms of rest and just meditation, like it's equally important. Like I can't serve other people if I'm stressed all the time. Like if I'm stressed all the time, that'll show in the products, and these
Right.
two products are ecosystem based. So it's like you can't create an app to create love. The creators are just stressed and just like we need to match types of thing. So it has to come from a place of abundance. And the
Right.
meditation, it's all the same to me. It's like a walk in midday at like 10 a.m. or a business call at 10 a.m. They're both the same thing. So if I need to do the business call, do the business call. But if I need to go on that walk or meditate or do whatever, I'll do that just because that's what's best for me, which is also ultimately best for the collective.
Yeah.
I personally like to meditate because I'm a scientific guy as well, but I like to meditate right in the morning when I get up. So in the hour of 4, because that's when best time to meditate spiritually. But in your brain, that's when you're most flooded with melatonin. So it's the best way to set your intention. So what I do is I set my intention for the day. I meditate until I feel limited, then you become limited. It's like during my meditation, I'm like, okay, all these calls are going to go well. Podcasts are going to crush it. Both apps will run smoothly. And then that creates that quantum collapse. It's like, if that's what I think is going to happen, no, it's like, well, it's not, because it's not even so much as a thing. It's like, that's simply what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And then it eventually happens. So the key is neutrality. It's like, how do you focus on winning? Well, you can't get obsessed with winning because that shows neediness. And neediness in all cases is repelling. It comes from within. It's like, would you get obsessed with breathing the air? No, it's just something you do. It's second nature. So for me, it's like winning, building. It's just another thing, and it comes from within. It's part of the core. It's just, and again, if you have the mindset, which I do, that God always has your back, which He always does, like whether you believe it or not, like He does, right. Then of course things are going to work out. Why wouldn't they? And that enables you to be authentic, which enables you to be creative, which enables you to help everything. Yeah, now that I think about it, God's really designed a really beautiful system. Just like, yeah, He did a good job. He crushed it.
He did an awesome job, because most of the time, we're still learning about a lot of things. And it's like, when you start seeing the intricate details of things, you're like, I don't think I could have came up with that.
We can. We're just lucky to be living in His world.
Okay, so I know that you said you were in an incubator when you first started out in your entrepreneurship.
Yes,
I did as well. When I first started my tax service, I was a part of a small business accelerator program, and it was in an incubator in New Orleans. How important was that for you when you were starting out, and what type of struggles did you have when you first started your business?
Yeah, so that was it was more so a learning perspective. So we were in a very fortunate one. So we were one of the top ones in Santa Monica. And so it wasn't just like, for yours, I think it was mainly just like a tax-based one, right?
No. There were different businesses in the incubator. They were like, oh my God, they had a micro lending company. They had it was a whole bunch. It was like this business where they were creating cosmetics. Like they had their own. Oh my God, it was lipstick and all kind of stuff. I remember that. But it was so many. It was a lot of different businesses, and it was great because we got to pull from each other. But yeah, go ahead, share your story.
Oh yeah, no. So I think ours were similar. It's like, for us, it was like a VC fund in Santa Monica. So the way it works is you become a portfolio of this incubator. They invest in you. They give you the connections, and then you work side by side with a bunch of different startups. So like, we are a desk clump. The desk clump next to us was Liquid Death Water. So just a bunch of people in like tech and CPG. So for me, I was fortunate enough to just interview and just talk with plenty of successful founders in the space and learn what worked well for them and what didn't work well for them. And that actually was what kicked off my meditation and walking and setting time for myself. Because like, one of the most successful people at the time, I think everyone's successful, but one of the most on paper successful people at the time, he would always go on like a walk at like 2. I'm like, don't you have stuff to do? And he's like, yeah, I do. I'm going on this walk at 2. Like, it is what it is. And then he also was a meditator. He also, which I didn't listen at the time, because at that time I was like young. I was like, work the full day. But looking back, I'm like, he knew what he was doing. So he opened the eyes for that. In terms of challenges you have to face, I think the biggest benefit is the mindset shift that you eventually have to have. Because in terms of a startup, nothing ever works. That's the thing. It's like, there's not just one challenge, just nothing is working. So when nothing's working, what do you do?
Right.
So you just have to look at it differently. It's like, okay, you try 9 things, they don't work. You try the 10th thing, it works, you're all happy and stuff. And then 3 days later, it doesn't work. You're just like, oh, that kind of sucks. So it's just the name of the game is just like constant optimization, where it's like, okay, I tried 9 things. Now I know, now I'm closer to the solution, which again, quantum wise, if you think you're close to the solution, you're closer to the solution. And I didn't know that back then, but looking on back on it now in this conversation, it's like, oh, okay, that was happening. And it also really helped me learn to take a step back. Because like let's say in corporate America, I've seen this in the case where they're like, okay, we have a problem. Everyone, you're locked in this room until you solve this problem,
Yeah.
which isn't effective because people will come up with a problem. No one wants to be there. It's a negative energy. They'll come up with a solution, which isn't even the best solution. Then you're throwing resources on a sub-optimized solution where the correct path would have been to sleep on it, come back and revisit. But in a startup world, you don't have that luxury because
Right.
resources and time, like time is a resource too, but like all of those are extremely limited. So if you're focusing on a wrong solution, that's worse than doing nothing, which is hard to do because if you need to do something, I need to do something, I need to go. But sometimes
Yeah.
doing nothing is the right solution. And eventually, because God is good, the answer just comes to you, like in the form of, I call it a spiritual downward. It's like, oh, that's it. And you're just like, and then you try. It's like, oh, okay, that works.
Yeah. Yeah. You definitely have to be able to pivot. You can't stay
Yeah,
stuck on one thing. I mean, I think that's why a lot of businesses fail early on is because they have this, everybody's taught make a business plan. Well, if you make a business plan, you should know that 70%
yeah,
of
hang
that
up doesn't
business
work.
plan is going to be changed before the third year of business. So it's like, just make the business plan. That's your first step. And then if it doesn't work, don't be afraid to change it. You have to change it because, like you
Yeah,
said, most of it's not going to work. It's a
yeah.
great
No, like
idea.
the
It's
thing
just
is,
not gonna work.
a set business plan and stuff, it never works. I mean, having an outline or having an angle, I think, is a more important thing.
Yeah.
I think forecasting is generally a pointless exercise, and the reason is it doesn't account for black swans. It's like you can have your plan, you can have your numbers, you can have whatever. It doesn't account for your just one change in the tech not working. It doesn't
Right.
account for this brilliant idea that 10x is your idea. So it's like,
Right.
why would you?
It doesn't
But
account
from
for
that,
COVID.
yeah, it doesn't account for like who could have. That's a black swan, but like from an
Right.
investor perspective, I get that people having like a numbers and a roadmap and all that cool stuff is it's comforting for a lot of people, but in terms of actual business use case, it hasn't. I mean, I'm sure it's helpful for some people. It just hasn't done too much for me personally. I'm
Yeah.
just like I don't. I'm just like, oh, this kind of. I'll do it because it has to get done, but we'll make it look all nice. But it's like I'm like when I'm presenting, it's like none of this is set in stone, right?
Right. I did a business plan, but when
Yeah,
I looked at that business plan, even the year after I did it, I was like, I said that?
yeah.
We were
It
supposed to
can
do that?
what it can be is a good first step. So once
Yes.
you start your business plan, you have to think about stuff. You're just like, okay, you get the ball rolling. It's like this could happen, this could happen. So it could get you started and keep your mind focused. But other than that, it's like the business plan. Like look at like probably like 95% of business plans. If you look at them a year later, it's like, well, this has to be completely changed.
Yes. Completely changed. I've changed logo, everything. Like, oh my gosh. All the whole branding has changed. But so one more question before I let you go. What do you think is your ultimate purpose?
Okay, so I think everyone has an inner purpose and an outer purpose. I
Oh,
think everyone's inner purpose is the exact same, and that's to raise your own level of consciousness. So if we go back to the vibrational chart, like the numbers, it's like my goal is to raise my own level of consciousness as high as it possibly can. And what does this accomplish? It raises my own. This raises those around me, and it raises those around them. So if I'm raising, we're having this podcast, you're raising. If our podcast raises one of your listeners, they raise, and then from there they disperse and then they raise those around them. So I think
mhm.
as a collective, humans are slowly raising. So I think I have a positive outlook on life for that because despite what's being pushed on the media, which is for a person which is for a purpose we went over earlier, most people are good people. They're just trying their best. Like it's just life is life. So
Yeah.
everyone's purpose is to raise your own level of consciousness. The outer purpose is how do I take advantage of the gifts that God gave me to make that happen, to serve others, to add a positive benefit. And for me specifically, those interests happen to be AI and dating and Web3 e-commerce just because those are my areas.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's amazing. That
Uh,
was a
so,
great way
uh,
of speaking it. Inner and
and
outer.
to throw in numbers just to get people thinking about it in terms of ShopX, over 80% of NFTs will be ShopX NFTs, and that can be done because we attach an NFT to each individual product SKU. So imagine if Nike attaches an NFT to every single product SKU. That's a quick way to take over that market. And the goal of dating is to match 1 billion happy couples, and that can easily be done just because the market's in need of a service like ours.
Okay. See, now you really got me thinking about NFTs. We had a conversation
Oh yeah.
before, and I'm like, oh my God. Like,
let me just break down the webs really quick, just because I know
go ahead.
yeah, just in case they're listening to that. It's like they're like, what is Web3? Why does it matter? So Web 1, just think of what read only, so you can go online, you can read stuff, which is great. Web 2, let's frame it as social media. So Instagram, I can read and I can write, but I don't own. So I can write an Instagram post, you can read that post, interact with it, but Instagram owns that post. They can cancel me, they can sell my data, they can make money off of me. Web 3 is read, write, and own. So I can read content, I can write content, but now for the first time ever, we can own that content, and that can come in the form of NFT or like NFT stands for non-fungible token. That's digital scarcity on the internet. So just think of it as a piece of land in cyberspace. Once I own that piece of land, it's my piece of land. No one can do anything with it, but I can build a house on it. I can build a farm on it. I can do nothing with it. I can build a garden. It's my land. I decided to do that. The same as with an NFT. So you own a scarce piece of land. If you own that land, no one can take it away from you. But if my area of expertise is e-commerce, so I can add e-commerce benefits to that NFT. The customer enjoys those e-commerce benefits, and artists could add in real life experience. Brands could add discounts. You could do a bunch of things. They could be the form of tickets. They can do a bunch of stuff.
Wow. Oh my gosh. To make it simpler, it's just like Shopify, right? It's like Shopify, but you own that part of it. And it's not. So Shopify is a platform, right? And so anything
Yes.
that's on Shopify, pretty much once you make the sale, it's pays Shopify, and it has basically they're the owner of all the content, is what you're saying. But when you have your in Web3 and you have your NFTs, you own everything. And if you want to add that e-commerce to it, like Shopify, you have that component of it, but you still own everything.
Exactly. So Web3 is an internet run by the builders and the users. So the users own the internet, not the corporations, not like the Shopify's, not the not like the Instagrams, not the Facebooks, not the governments. It's owned by each individual user.
That's oh my God. Changing the world.
Oh yeah.
Changing the world.
1% at a time, right?
One person at a time. Oh my gosh. I have so many more questions, but I'm going to have to let you go.
Yeah.
I want to thank you so much for coming by and sharing your talents and your gift with us. How could the audience get in touch with you and connect with you?
Yeah, so my goal is to be as helpful as possible. So if you want to reach out individually, just go to my Instagram, ERICDMCHUGH. If you're interested in ShopX Web3 e-commerce, it'd be shopx.co. And if you're interested in Dataing, it'd be DATAING.io. And I'm sure we'll throw those links in the show notes.
Yes, I will. I'll have all the links for you underneath the video. Thank you again, Mr. McHugh. Thank you, Eric, for coming by.
No, thank you so much for having me. I'm really grateful.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us today on the Who God Says podcast with your host and Kingdom Ambassador, Ty-Shaun-Dra. Go to whogodsays.com to join the mailing list for episode premieres, upcoming guests, and more. Send in your questions to be a part of the show at whogodsays@gmail.com. And don't forget, join the Kingdom Fanatic community. Until next time, be blessed and also be a blessing.